So hello everybody on the stage for our first panel discussion. Also an experiment here, and we thought it would be a great idea to start with the panel discussion about remote Austria. So how did this whole lockdown and remote situation affect us all? And as we can see here already in the session, it affects us because we have two people here on site at TechTalk and also two panel discussion participants joining us remote. I will shortly introduce us. So my name is Richard Perner. I'm here Agile coach at TechTalk, and basically let's go start with Laura. Laura is Agile coach working for BearingPoint and also a long-term member of the Agile Tour program committee. So good to have you here. Hi, Laura. Then Veronika.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Also, I think well known in the Agile community as your solution-focused trainings. I think lots of us went through your school, which also brings me to Oliver, solution-focused enterprise Agile coach. Also happy to have you here. And of course, Zvonimir Durcevic, or I think all people know you as Zvone. You are now working as Agile coach for RBI, also solution-focused Agile coach and working a lot with leadership. So happy to have all of you friends here in this group, and we just do a 45 minutes chat and we forget about the couple of hundreds participants that are watching us now, okay? We just imagine everyone naked, right? Okay. Yeah, thank you. Let's start with some questions I prepared for this session about this whole situation. Let's start with our personal experience in this lockdown. Let's start with an open question. How did you perceive these first weeks, right, in the lockdown? Let's start with probably Veronika.
Good idea, thank you. Okay. Well, the first weeks of the lockdown. Yeah, I should think about if I want to remember these weeks or not, because it was like a ride on a roller coaster somehow. First, we had kind of panic. So all our customers, they are in Germany, in Switzerland, in Austria. We cannot go there and do our trainings and our work. And then our children, we have two ladies at home. They are 12 and 14 years old. So we had distance learning to do. So how can we manage that? Mm-hmm. And the next thing was we thought, oh, great, we have now time to do all these things that should have been done the last months or years. Mm-hmm. And we had no time to do that. Mm-hmm. And then we caught COVID-19 ourselves. So we were ill and we lay in bed most of the time. And, you know, we thought, okay, all the others in the world stay at home as well. So
okay.
It's, yeah.
Well, so thanks for sharing this.
Personal experience was like up and down and up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So tough times.
Yes.
Yeah, let's probably continue with you, Oliver.
Thank you. Well, for me, actually, I was working with distributed teams before, so it was not that surprising for me and not that much of a change. But actually, after 2 or 3 weeks, I started to feel bored. Mm-hmm. Because I actually like to meet people. I love to feel people in front of me, and that was a bit difficult for me, and still is, to be honest. So yeah. On the other hand, I experienced new qualities because I'm quite a nosy person. So I started to experiment with lots of things like video, green screen techniques, blah, blah. And it was a great learning journey, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And it also was fun on the other hand.
Yeah, and you were quite helpful also to others who wanted to have some insights in your setup. So thanks for that, actually.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, Laura, what about you?
Well, I have to say, I'm I must lie when I don't say it was a hard time, because it was a really hard time for the clients, for me as like being an employee, and for me personally as well. So clients had problems to set up a good infrastructure technically wise. We at BearingPoint, we had a good setup, because when you're the most of the time at the client's workplace, so you're like used to work remotely. But I have when I was in home office the whole time, I really have to find out my own way of working, so that I'm not stuck on the computer for 9, 10, 11 hours a day. So that was for me, I experimented a lot, and I guess I found a way for myself to do it and to work from home.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Zvone.
Yes. So for me, it was, well, let's first start personally. Yeah, I started to deal with this uncertainty and ambiguity of the situation at the beginning of the year. I was identified as being one, and it was like at that time I had to deal with okay, what is still certain in my world around me, and with the complete lockdown at the beginning, it was a bit of denial. Now it cannot be so bad. Is it really happening? And then a bit of confusion. These first weeks, they were really full of confusion. What is going on? And then let's go a bit in the organization. A lot of people were in these first weeks talking a lot with others. There were a lot of meetings. I saw also this confusion everywhere. And yes, this was a time to find also how we deal with this one, and also how we deal with this world getting really this tipping point. It was for me a tipping point, like it's really getting uncertain, ambiguous, volatile, and complex. It's there now. Okay, so this was impact on me.
Mm. Okay, thank you all. Probably I also share, because I'm also part of the group here involved. Yeah, I think for me it was, I was kind of in a lucky situation, because my wife is still in maternity leave, so no homeschooling, and also my daughter was kind of well looked after, and I also had my own office where I could go to, and I also had the benefits that we really took lots of efforts to make sure that all people have a good equipped home office in the first couple of days. But I feel you, Zvone. I also experienced this huge amount of calls, meetings, remote meetings, especially in the first weeks. I think there was no time to go on the toilet, even from morning to evening. We were packed with remote meetings all the time. So this was, I see, kind of a stressful situation for all of us. And I also heard the statement once, it's not us working from home. We are in an extreme situation trying to work from home still. And sometimes I think we forgot that this is still a special situation, which was affecting not only positive, but let's probably take on another perspective now. We look back in this lockdown, also hard times. But for example, you, Oliver, I've seen you quite in the early stages, coming up with high quality videos, training videos, and also so something new coming in this phase. And that's why I would like to start with you, asking you what kind of like tools we suddenly discovered and technical possibilities. So what are tools you are now using, for example, for collaboration and everything?
Well, most people probably know all those kind of tools already. They were named probably 1,000 times on LinkedIn, on Xing, wherever. It's like Mural or Zoom and Teams and Google Meet and you name them, Miro, whatever. And thing is, I'm quite a fan of Mural, but as you start to work with clients, you probably have to be very agile because company policies, etc., security policies, you cannot just use anything that you like or that you prefer, but of course you have to dive into the company context and use what they allow you to use. And this is a reminder on, if we teach others to be agile and to react on changing environments, well, that's our chance to act as a role model. Yeah.
Thanks, Oliver.
You're welcome.
Who wants to join this tool discussion? What did you discover next to, probably all of us discovered Zoom somehow. Not you, Zvone, because you were affected by RBI's policies, I know. So Teams.
Oh, yeah, yes, but it was also a great help because so I have like this kind of infrastructure already checked, tested, and it was working really well. Also, we learned a lot, but it was working really well. And yes, this was a good step into this world of virtual meetings.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Oliver named every tool what we are using now in the remote online meeting world. What I really like is that you can do breakout sessions as well now on Microsoft Teams. So the rollout is now here, and that's awesome. And what I think is, of course, you have to give people time to get to use to the tools. So yeah.
Sure. I also seen, Veronika, you start now also doing online
Yes.
trainings, workshops.
Yes, we do. And what I really enjoyed was this human side of the thing, because we suddenly had so cool calls with colleagues and friends like Oliver, like Mark Kaufmann, like Easter, like people who had very early experiences with these online tools, and who were ready to share their knowledge, their experience, their best ideas. And we could learn from them. And we were not sure if you can do solution-focused coaching courses online.
Yeah.
But then there was Pierluigi Pugliese. Do you know him?
No, actually not.
He's an Italian agile coach who lives in Munich.
Okay.
And he's, he loves technical things. So like most of the agile coaches I know.
Total nerd.
Yeah, really.
And Pierluigi, he shared his kind of a TV studio he built up in his office. Almost a TV studio.
Yeah.
And Ralph, my partner, he joined his session, and afterwards he was really excited. And now we have our trainings with teleprompter and with TV switcher and with 2 cameras, and and so it's not only these tools. We use concept board. You didn't name it, I think, Oliver, did you?
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Concept board and Zoom mostly.
Yeah.
And yes, our customers, we will work with our customers whatever they allow us to use.
Yeah.
And what I really enjoyed was this excitement of Ralph, who had really fun, and we have fun with our trainings now. It's not the same as when you work with people in the room, but
it works.
It works.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I also experienced when we have our own site trainings here with Mitch Lacey, our Scrum trainings, and Christian, our CEO, he told me, have a call with him because he has nice tools. And then I have seen him with green screen, camera, and all this stuff, video lights. Also, you showed me this, and then I also bought all this stuff. And then I've seen the equipment of Mike Cohn, because Mitch showed me the equipment of Mike Cohn, who has a complete studio with studio lighting, movable mics, and also teleprompters. And I thought, okay, we are amateurs. But it was somehow nice to buy all those gadgets. And what I think is, I also thought, based on my experience with remote development teams, that's nothing new. But I thought this is bringing us to a complete new level now, because we never thought about virtual breakout rooms. We never thought about how do you really facilitate this whole workshop thing. I remember me bringing this flip chart at home because I thought I would film it and draw, which didn't work out. Then I bought this doc cam, which films down for drawings and so. So this was a whole new steep learning curve for me as well in this totally remote setup. Did you also feel like this?
Yeah, definitely. I think I stumbled over hundreds of things that I was interested in, that I tried out, that I experimented with, and it was huge fun. I invested, I don't know, hundreds of hours probably in these kind of things. And
hundreds of euros.
Thousands of euros, to be honest. Yeah, not only on video things, but also on audio things, hardware equipment like tube amplifiers, blah blah, to make a nice radio voice and stuff like that. So yeah, it really went deep.
Yeah. So speaking of nerds, right?
Yeah.
So Zvone, what about you? I also know that you did a lot of workshops and you're working from home all the time as an Agile coach, working with teams. This is somehow a challenge, but did you think that the tools are good enough now working to do this?
I think that, we can all have improvements, and they can improve. What I find really challenging is how to involve and engage people in virtual meetings, virtual workshops. And this is something that is really challenging us to come with solutions where the people will engage. And what I find really also using a lot of energy, also of us facilitators, but also of people in the virtual workshops, is this communication bandwidth, which is narrowed in these virtual settings. And you really need to take care that the message has been understood, because you never know what is going on. It's completely different. You don't see how the people are reacting non-verbally, and this is where the challenge is and stays in virtual meetings for me.
Yeah, that's also what I've learned. I'm not sure what about your solution-focused trainings, but first of all, my naive thought was that if it's remote, you can have more participants, but actually it's the other way around. I've seen that if you have breakout sessions, if you really want to engage people, and you need not only the trainer but co-trainers going into the breakout rooms, you need some sort of producer, technical producer, because you always have people with problems. And so this was if you really want to do this in a good manner, it takes lots of effort, and actually you can you can have less participants, what we've seen in the trainings, than on site. What about this in the solution focused world?
Yeah, we have the same number of participants in our online trainings, and we are 2 trainers, so we can manage to do that. So, but if you don't work with Zoom, but with, for example, Blue Jeans, or it's another video tool, there you only can see 9 people at once. So if you cannot see your participants in a communication training, this is really hard to do. But even Blue Jeans improved, and now with the newest updates, you can see all of them up to 25. So this is what is really great to see how fast these tools improve to support the trainings and online meetings in a good way.
Yeah, it was also interesting for me to see how fast Microsoft reacted with the Teams features, and now they have the breakout rooms. They can see multiple people. That was also a use case I never thought about, that I would need before, that I see 40 people at once on a video feed. So this was, I think, still very, very interesting to see what tool-wise this had on implications. Also, retro facilitation tools like Team Retro, Mural, So all this kind of new stuff coming up. I should have bought Zoom stocks, by the way, but so
well, there is an observation I made during the whole thing, and I think it fits quite well to this topic, because when you say that Microsoft came up with certain solutions in a real short time, what does it mean? What was different for them? Well, it was the need, it was market pressure, and it was, in the end, it was focus. They created focus to produce something that has a lot of value for them. And I think the same thing happened to all the companies out there during COVID-19, because suddenly we all had to react on changing environment. And I think why it went that well is because the whole company focused on this one thing. And I think this is what made them do it that well and that fast. And I'm quite a fan of focus. I think that's why it's also a Scrum value, isn't it?
Yeah. Strange.
Yes. Stop starting, start finishing.
Comes all focus, back to Agile.
Focus on one thing and get it done.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for that comment.
But can I add here something? Well,
sure.
I think it's not only about working with the tools, because tools are great and Zoom is great and Mural is great. It's what I experienced is how my work as a coach or a as a facilitator changed in the times, and how I work with remote teams or remotely. So creating a space and a safe space, even in trainings, is more important than before. Do some check-ins, check-outs, to not only one round of check-in, to 2 or 3 rounds in check-in, to the breakout rooms. Bring the people together. That's more important now in a remote world. I mean, it was important before, of course, but it's, in my experience, it's more important.
Yeah, thanks, Laura, because this brings me perfectly to the next perspective I want to take, because now we were on the tool perspective. And for Zvone, the IT quadrant of the integral framework. Let's now move to the we quadrant a little bit, and the team. Because what you say, Laura, is this taking time for coming into the meeting, check in. I personally had the feeling that at the beginning of the lockdown, there were lots of personal chit chats, questions. How is it going for you? What's going on? And this somehow, for me personally, faded away 1 or 2 weeks later. And this was all professional communication. We just came into the meeting right on the topic, depending on the context, of course, but it was very professional. And this first checking in and informal talks, this somehow was lost then later. And what I would like to ask you also is this kind of team feeling that we get when we see teams, we sit together and we see the people, is also, we had this question coming in from Slido. So what is missing now remote? Do we still see these rolling eyes of the people behind the laptop screens? Do we get the sense of people, the mood of the team, and all this interpersonal interaction, non-verbal interaction that we sense? How did this change now? What's your experience with that?
And how does it work when the cameras are off?
Exactly.
So you have companies where the Betriebsrat, I don't know in English.
Workers' Council. Also.
Yeah, right. Says people don't have to turn on their cameras. So if you only hear the voices, it's like having a phone call, and you cannot see rolling eyes, of course. And you have no chance to feel the mood of the people. On the other hand, we experience in our team, we are only 4 people in our team for a Führung company. But when one of us has to stay at home because your child is a contact person 1 and cannot go to school for several days, we put an iPad on the desk of this person. And she is via Zoom with us all the day. So she or he can follow the conversations and can be kind of in the room. So if you have an office with 20 people, it might be more complicated. But in our small office, it works rather well. So, And it is this small talk. We open the Zoom room half an hour before the training starts. And if somebody wants, we do lunch together. And we take the computer with us to the lunch table or something.
Did this work out? Do people use it?
Yes, absolutely. There are always 2 or 3 people with us.
Nice. Laura, what about you? How did you experience this standing of people?
I had the same experience like Veronika said before. I mean, what I did is I opened dailies like 15 minutes before the real daily starts, and everyone who wants to join. I had one team where the team members were very young. Most of them were single, so they were like sitting in their 50 or 40 square meters flat at home for weeks, and of course they need more interactions, more time to talk. And I know it's not often seen by organization as the positive thing that you talk more, because okay, everybody should work and so on, but that's the important thing, that you talk more, that you have more informal talks, that you do some, I don't know, I have seen some online wine tastings, I have seen some beer tastings online. We did some, very, very good. We did some interactional workshops where we send it questions out before, then we do some Mentimeter stuff or Kahoot quizzes. So there are, of course, with tools, there are a lot of possibilities, but the main thing is give people time to talk to each other. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah. That's cool, because I also read an article from GitLab, fast company, and they already had a huge manual, because they basically all work remote, about informal communication, what you can do, like also connecting the partners of the employees in an informal chat or something like this to get to know the families, which is great. And we also did this virtual after work beer sessions and virtual morning coffee break. This was quite cool. Zvone,
I love seeing the kids from all of my colleagues. Yeah, I love to interact with them. So that makes us all people and not only workers. So
yeah, it was always an icebreaker when some child was running through the video feed of some professional conversation. This always was nice. Yeah.
And I think that's something that's added now, no?
Yeah.
Because you haven't had the chance to have a look into the living room behind the camera and the child jumping on the floor.
Yeah, or making faces. So, guy there.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Zvone,
what I found amazing and inspirational is that I observed people taking initiatives in the organization. So it was like I was watching these all of these experiments that you were now talking about happening in the organization. It was like getting flowers on a beautiful meadow. Okay, so the people felt a need to talk about different things, not only about work. They really felt this need, and what they did is they did it. They tried several things, like, as you said, Laura, also meeting in the afternoon, in the evening, like drinking beer together virtually, making pub quizzes and so on. And what is amazing for me is it just started to popping up in the organization. Okay, it was not like somebody said, oh, we need to do this, let's do this now. But it just started to appear everywhere. And it was very, very insightful to see this.
So thanks. Yeah, I just don't want to let you out of this conflict thingy, because I started sharing some personal experience when I came back after the lockdown in the office, and it was more regular occurrence than that I was back in the office. I somehow had the feeling that lots of conflicts that were not bespoken during this lockdown now popped up again. And we needed to have lots of in-person talks to really address those conflicts that somehow for me seemed too small to really talk about in an online meeting, but somehow piled up. And then I didn't know where this is now coming from, and we had lots of talks. So what's your experience, Oliver, with conflicts? How did you deal with this kind of emotions in a remote setup?
Yeah, I was working in a volunteer project together with Laura and other colleagues of mine. One is here in the room. And actually, there was one conflict that one team had, and they were a distributed team, which means some of those people were in the same room and others were working remote.
Okay.
And what I think happened is there was kind of building of subsystems.
Mm-hmm.
So they created a system, those people that were together, they built an identity which differed from the whole team identity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was some reason why these conflicts came up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I wanted to add something to the former discussion very quickly, because there are several opinions out there whether if remote work is influencing our culture or not. And I started to think, well, I think it cannot be the last conclusion that we are talking about opinions all the time. And I started to dig into science, and maybe some of you already heard about them, but I stumbled over mirror neurons. It's quite a young kind of science, but it says that mirror neurons in our brains are fired when
Veronika's classes, yeah, I know them.
Okay, yeah. When we do things, or on the other side, when we observe things.
Mm.
And they are also responsible for building up empathy with each other and learning from each other. And I think, for me, the conclusion is if we just work in a digital world, these kind of things are going to miss. And maybe for those who cannot deal with these kind of scientific words, maybe a story. I sometimes watch my 6-year-old son jump down from several heights. And when I see him jump down from more than 1 meter, I can literally feel in my legs how it hurts. I don't know if you know that phenomenon, but those are the mirror neurons.
And you think this works remote?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because you are actually missing body language. You're missing some details in the voice and so on, mimic, gestic, whatever. And if you work without a camera, this whole thing falls apart. And I think this is one of the reasons why we cannot build up empathy as much as needed. We don't feel related to other people then, which is very important from a cultural point of view. And I think this is people and companies should consider this when they think about going remote 5 days a week, because I think there is a lot of danger in miscommunication and conflicts to get the circle closed.
Okay. Thanks, Oliver.
You're welcome.
Great insights also. Who wants to share some experience with conflicts? Did you make some, or?
I still think about what Oliver just said, and I'm not sure if I'm that strict in it doesn't work with the camera. I think it is possible to build up kind of relationship online. I think it works because I do coachings, one-on-one coachings online, and if it wouldn't be possible to build kind of a space together where you have trust and cooperation, those coachings won't work. So I'm not sure. I'm sure it's not the same kind of and not the same amount of trust and relationship that you can have if we are in the same room and stand next to each other. So, but yeah, I think I'm not that strict. And I think it depends on what do I think about what people do. Because people do things and all I can see online is the result. I just get the result and I cannot ask, hey Richard, why did you do it that way and not the other way around? So there is much more interpretation of things I observe. Yeah. And much less asking back, why is it this or that way? And I think this interpretation leads to not so helpful situations between people and to conflicts.
Yeah, I would like to hear something from Zvone about this topic. What did you experience?
Yes, so my current understanding, I say current because probably it will change, is that it is in remote work, it is easier to withdraw, to go into background, to not tell everything. And I observed several conversations where the people did not tell openly what they think or did not give feedback openly. And it has this tendency to build up. Also, maybe something what Oliver was maybe referring to is this distance that we create and that is created is of course making more difficult for teams to create this trust, to also maintain the trust and have these relationships being on the level that will enable them to really to be as a team. Okay, and this is something that we will have to see how it will work for some other setups, and what can we come out with to remedy these kind of situations that we have now, that we are experiencing.
Okay, thanks. I need to watch a little bit time because I would like to switch another time a little bit the perspective. We were on the we perspective now, and you already mentioned culture, and I think it's also an interesting learning to see different organizational cultures reacting to this situation. And I start with a more general question to this topic. Do you think that companies are accepting and trusting their employees working from home?
Well,
well, what do you think, Laura?
Well, yes,
As
yes, yes and no.
We all experience multiple companies. So
I mean, that's what we have seen. I guess all of us in the last months is that you have leaders. They are, of course, trusting their teams and their people, but then you have leaders or organizations that don't trust. And I mean, there were a lot of companies who haven't worked with home office or mobile office before, and they, of course, had a lot of problems now to get, on the one hand, into all the technical equipment, and the second, into the trust. And now you have the steps sometimes back, that you have like these so-called office first guidelines. And I mean, every organization has to take their own way. That depends on the culture as well. I mean, culture is a living thing. It's not the thing that you said for one time, or you said one Führungsleitbild or for one Leitbild and then it's over. So it is a living thing, and you have to be very transparent about the things what you want to do. So it's hard to say here a yes or no, because there's no black and no white.
Yeah. Let's put it more bluntly, probably. There was an article in The Economist. So Robert is reading The Economist and always pointed me to some articles to prepare to this talk. Thanks. And they said, basically, and this is a question to you, do you think that companies that are now creating policies to move people back to the office are just overcompensating a bad company culture?
Of course not.
Because if we have a good culture, we can trust people work from home, right? Or not?
So it's just all of them, of course, all of the companies who, no, I don't think so. I think getting people back to the office can be also a sign of very good company culture, because I miss my colleagues, and and to be honest, as a mother, I'm very happy to be in the office, because there I have only my work to do, and not doing cooking lunch and going shopping and doing homework and everything else. I think it depends if you are.
But this happens kind of naturally, right? Because you're looking for your colleagues. You want to go back to the office. You want to see them again, so people start coming back. But there's another notion: if you get from your CEO the direction to come in the office again each Monday to Thursday, for example, or.
Well, maybe we in this case. In this particular case, maybe we should not talk about company culture, but maybe we should talk about leadership.
Okay.
Because I think
Go ahead.
if you don't trust your employees, it's not about company culture. It's about leadership style or leadership skills. And I don't want to value it now, or if it's bad or not, but it shows something.
It's about experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that companies and organizations are learning how to deal with the situation from different perspectives. And you always said leadership is one perspective, also the personal development. How to also from the systems point of view, what do we need now to secure our value delivery chain? People are, I believe, also questioning, okay, so do we have these capabilities now to deliver value for the customers, and how we will do this? So companies are learning. They see some things are working. Let's maybe even experiment with. Maybe some experiments are quite extreme on one side. As you said, email communicating this could be seen as on one spectrum of these experiments. So yes, I believe that a lot of learning, a lot of also fear and anxiety is involved in all of this.
Maybe there is something else that pops up in my mind is when I walk through companies and I pass the coffee table or the lunch tables, people are often talking about very interesting things. And I think Slack time is a very important thing to keep in mind here, because, for example, I think Google Maps was invented in Slack time. And maybe this kind of leader wants more, I don't know, campfire feeling, where people can talk about interesting things beside their backlogs.
So it's basically being very transparent also about the motives behind that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm also, again, watching the time. I would like to continue talking to you for the next couple of hours, I think, but just let's round up this discussion with what you personally think will last from all of these learnings after the lockdown. What will stick to this new way of working or this new world if after the crisis? So probably let's start with Zvone.
Thank you. For me, it is what will stay for me is this awareness that we live in the uncertain and complex world, and that how we deal with this will impact not only us and our organizations, but also our world. So we have this responsibility to deal with a lot of much broader questions and challenges that we had before. So this is this awareness that I will carry on.
Thank you, Zvone. Laura, what about you? What will stay?
What I want to have is that as a normal employee, I want the freedom to have decide what I can do. So I want to have the freedom where week one I want to do full home office, and the next week I want to go to the office. So that should be not only the organizational choice. It should be like the choice of the employees as well. So employees should get more into that decisions, and on the other hand, the organization should be more transparent why they're doing some decisions or something. And on the other hand, you should do more experience. I really liked what Jenny said in the talk before about the experience and about the fake and the real experience. So start more experience in organizations, in the teams, with yourself, whatever. So, and just try things out. Yeah.
Thank you. Oliver.
As our fellow colleague Klaus Leopold sometimes says, my latest state of mistake, when I think in a systemic way, is I think not much is going to change, because I think the systems will probably try to regulate themselves again to avoid change. And I think this was something very special that we experienced with COVID. And I think not many companies will get it into their DNA. It will fall back into old behaviors. That's what I think.
Okay, we will quote you in 2 years and see.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Oliver.
I wanted to say something the other way around, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's totally nice. Go ahead.
I think that not the word agile, but the meaning of agile is something that made it out of companies and IT companies, and it made it out into the world. And the meaning of being agile and solution focused is something that I hope will last in our world. And it's for grandmothers, and it's for teachers, and it's for everyone who lives in this world that is more uncertain than ever before. You cannot plan anything. You have to stay agile.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, for me personally, I think there will be things that stay. I personally hope also for the environment that traveling goes down, and we more often take the remote possibilities when it's possible. But I also love coming back to the office, see my colleagues, laugh with them, and have the coffee machine talks. Especially, I have to promote here the TechTalk coffee machine here again, which I have not at home. So thank you all for this very interesting discussion, for your personal experience sharing, also this very personal comments from you. And I think that's it for the first panel discussion. I hope you all stay in the Agile Tour. We will continue at 10 again in the sessions. No? 11:20? Okay, so we...
Yeah.
Okay, so doesn't matter. But I think we have rounded this up now. So thank you all for participation, and hope to see you all in person again then.
Thanks for the
Thank
invitation.
you.
Thank you very much.
For being here.
A great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye bye.